Okay, well, I'm back here. I'm going to figure out how to mount my routers into the tabletop that I made in previous video. So what I've done is I've flipped it over. This is the top here. So we're going to need a circle with a rabbet for that to fit so everything's flush. So what I've done is I've laid out kind of where the center of my router is going to be, and my plan is to machine this ring to match the inner part of my rabbet, and then after I get that routed out, my plan is to go in with this rabbet bit from the top and put the shoulder that the base plate will sit in. So I need to machine the ID of this ring to 7.5 inches, or I should say 7 inches, because I've got a 1/4 inch. The base plate's 7.5, so I've got a 1/4 inch rabbeting bit. 1/4 inch each side is half minus 7.5, 7 inches. So I have to machine this to 7 inches, and then I can screw this to the bottom here and use a flush trim bit and go around, and that'll cut the inner part of my circle. So that's my plan. So I'm going to go get that in the lathe and machine the ID of that ring. Well, I've measured the ID with this inside mic, and it's really close to 7 inches right now. It's just under. So I'm going to take a little skim here, and then it's a little bit V'd in the middle here, so I just want a little bit more of a flat spot so I can get the mic on it. So I'm going to just take, maybe 5 thou out of there, and I'll mic it again and see. Hopefully I won't have to get another ring. Hopefully this is small enough. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah, we're not catching all the way around yet, so we'll have to go a little bit more, unfortunately. Just about. So I'm going to measure that and we'll see where we're at. Okay, so I've got that machined out to exactly 7 inches on the ID. I've taken this center finder and I've drawn a line across for the equator, or the center line of the circle. I'm going to drill a pilot hole for a screw and a pilot hole for a screw there. That'll allow me to mount it to the back of the router tabletop, and afterwards when we pull the screws out, those little pieces in the middle will be routed away, and you'll see later the router just lifts up, flips, and it'll drop through those little pieces, so we won't see those screw holes in the end. I'll just go over to the drill press here. I think you'll see in the first video I like using these center drills for starting holes. You don't need a center punch, they're very stable, and it's the one I got in there's big enough I won't have to drill another hole. So I'm going to go ahead and drill those holes, and we'll go to the next step. Okay, so I've got the ring temporarily attached. I just screwed it down. I took a pencil, I drew a circle out in there. I'm going to take it off now, and I'm going to cut that out back from the line a little bit with a jigsaw. So that's what I'm going to do next. I can just take these screws out, and I'll get that cut out, and then we'll come back. I'm going to put a little bit of double-sided tape on that too. I don't want that any chance of that thing moving. And then we can route it. So we'll do that and get back. Okay, I've got the ring mounted on the bottom. I put some double-sided tape along with the screws. The other thing I did is when I was machining, I machined a little bit of a chamfer on the other side just to give clearance for the carbide. I've got flush trim bit set up to the right depth so the bearing catches my machined edge here. I've roughly cut out with the jigsaw, so now I'll go and route that hole round with that pattern. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll get back. Well, okay, that went pretty good. Actually no problems. You can see the steel ring underneath there. Seems like I got a pretty accurate round hole. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that plate off and get the rabbet bit set up, but I'm going to put some tape inside here, a couple layers. I can take it off as I go. I'm not 100% sure on that rabbet bit. It looks like it's a Taiwanese deal, so whether or not it's exactly a 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to put some tape just to fill the hole and just check the router base because I want to end up with a pretty good fit. So I'll go ahead and do that, and we'll give that a whirl. Okay, so what I did is I ran some tape very smoothly inside here so the bearing can run up against the tape. The tape's probably 4 to 5 thou thick, so that'll give me, if for whatever reason this router bit cuts deeper than a 1/4 inch, which it shouldn't, I measured it. Actually it should cut about 2 thou deeper. The bearing is actually 2 thou under 3/4, and I measured across here with the mic and I got exactly 1.25 inches. So if anything it'll cut a little deep, but with this tape here it's going to keep it from doing that. I can try just to make sure nothing wild happens. If I'm a little bit small still, I'll pull the tape out and give it a try. I want it to be a good fit in there, so I'm sort of taking my time here. I could also try some packing tape. It's a little thinner, so we'll see. But for now, I've got the depth set. I just used the base plate that I had made the other day, and I just put it up against here and just sort of eyed it up, which is going to be pretty close. So my depth, I'm not too worried. If I'm a little bit deep, I don't really care because I can put some tape in the bottom. Not as critical as this fit on the outside here. So we'll go ahead and do that and see how it goes. Well, I don't know if that could have gone much better. This one fits perfectly. Depth was good the first time. Yeah, really happy with that. And this guy here, it's really good. There's zero play. So yeah, so what I did with the tape in there, I ran a first pass, and this wouldn't go in. It was a touch too big. So I made the jump and I took all the tape out, and I put as light a pressure as I could on the bearing, but still kept it on there. And after I did that, this still was a little bit tight. So I ran the router around again and I put a little more pressure against the wood, and it must have just give it that extra bit, and it's perfect. So I'm liking that. It's flush. You're probably wondering what keeps that from turning. Yeah, there's an anti-rotation pin. This chip here was when I dropped it. I had a few too many green teas that night and I dropped my router. So I just put another pin here, and there'll just be a little relief here when it drops in, and that keeps it from turning. Right where we put the screws here, we'll be routing this section away here on both sides, and that'll allow the router to tip up and then drop through like that. And that works pretty good. My other router table's the same way, and I really liked it. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, it worked really well. I guess having that bottom template machined correctly, that's probably a big plus. So yeah, so I think I'll post this one, and then I'll do, I guess the hard part's done now. We'll make the rest of the router table in the next few days here. I'll see if I can get that on there too. Have a good night. See ya.